The AFC West got better as a whole, but don't freak out. Even though it is Friday, we're going to run it down for you on Locked On Chiefs.
From the land of the free and the home of the Chiefs, this is the Locked On Chiefs podcast.
Welcome in, Chiefs fans. We're brought to you today by Amazon Fire TV Stick 4K. Turn any TV into your Xbox. No console needed. Head to Amazon.com/Fire TV Locked On to learn more. We are going to run it down. The AFC West, they're always coming for us. There's always talking heads making predictions that never turn out to be right. We're going to run all that stuff down today, right? All the time. We're going to tell you our favorite draft pick, whether it was Chiefs or not or whatever. We're going to run down some of them. Hot or not today is going to be a lot of fun. It's about who's going to steal playing time on this roster and maybe some others. But we're going to start where we need to with what the competition in the AFC West has done, is doing, and should do. Probably won't, but that's okay. You can find all Chris's work over at KC Chiefs Corner. I'm doing it wrong again. The right hand. Man, I had it on a run for a while. KC Chiefs Corner. You can go get subbed over there to see what Chris is doing about everything, including the cap and the most important minutia of how these rosters come together this time of year. You can find me at NFL33.com and RGRfootball.com as we continue to break it all the way down. And you can get us on the text line at 816-357-8781. Thanks for making us your first listen here on Locked On. We appreciate it. And we'll make another Locked On show your next one because we're always available everywhere all the time. So let's get after the AFC West. I thought it was very telling, and I think most of the teams in this division did one thing and one thing above all else. They came for the Chiefs. The drafts were about stopping or slowing or not giving opportunity to the Chiefs. And nothing rings out more for me than that, than the two picks of Ashton Jeanty at number 6, running back at 6.
Al Davis special.
Right? Well, yeah. And Amarin Hampton at 22 to the Chargers. Now, normally I am pretty mellow about this stuff because that old saying, when your enemies are making mistakes, don't interrupt them. But both these were concerted efforts, and you could even go back to number 60. The Broncos came back and took RJ Harvey, who I think is an underrated back, and I really like what he does. But everybody came to try to control game time and keep it out of Patrick Mahomes' hands. That's how I interpreted it. Am I nuts?
I wouldn't say you're nuts. I think the Raiders are nuts for taking a running back 6 overall. I don't care how much you like Geno Smith. You can think he's your franchise. I don't think a running back gets you to where you can compete with Patrick Mahomes. Wide receiver, defensive ends. Premium positions, Raiders still have issues. They should not have gone running back, but it is what it is. I mean, we'll see how it ends up working out for him. Pete Carroll's his own guy, and everybody is saying that this is their Marshawn Lynch. Good luck with that. If he isn't a superstar, and I'm talking, and I want to be clear, I absolutely loved, I hate the Raiders, but that's beside the point. I loved their pick last year. Brock Bowers, I think that was a phenomenal pick. I think that was a fantastic choice, and he's going to be trouble for Kansas City for years to come. Jeanty may be trouble for Kansas City, but it's still not on the same level as Brock Bowers, in my opinion. And we'll see if that ends up being the case. But running back, I just don't see the value at 6. Period.
Yeah, I couldn't argue with you at all.
I don't care how good they are.
I'm smiling because it's a mistake. I'm sure there were trade-up candidates at that point. You could have reaped the rewards. There were obviously,
and they need more than just one player. Sorry.
Right. Absolutely. I mean, they did have a good haul. By my count, they had 4, 6, 8, 10, 11 picks in this draft. They did do a lot of work. The Raiders did. And so let's focus on them for a second. Did they do enough to increase their cellar dweller standing in this division? I'm not convinced.
It's tough. So my problem, and this is where it starts, with Jeanty at 6, if you trade back to even like the mid-teens, you get to add basically probably 2 players, and maybe an extra first rounder next year. Yeah. Or something that you can use to come up and get another premium player, because then you don't pick again until 58. So you had 58, 68, 98, 99, 108, 135, 180. I mean, you have all these players, and yeah, you have 5 in the top 100, 6 in the top 110. So that's pretty decent. But past getting to maybe your third round picks, where you picked an offensive tackle and a corner in the third round, and maybe Beck from TCU, are you going to get starters? That's really what you need, and you need quality starters. You don't need just starters. You need guys that can come in and really challenge. And I don't think that they're going to challenge in the AFC West this year. Not saying that they can't turn it around and make it in a couple of years, but I don't see him this year. Geno Smith just isn't the guy.
Yeah. I mean, they protected themselves. They doubled up at quarterback. I think Tomlin Watt is really destined to be kind of a Taysom Hill style quarterback, quote unquote. They doubled up at defensive tackle with Pegas and Hemingway. They doubled up at offensive tackle. But all these guys have growing that they really, really have to do. The Chargers are almost as much of a toss-up. Marion Hampton, yes, good player. Excuse me. Trey Harris, Caldwell, Kyle Kennard, all guys that the Chiefs will have to deal with, but none of it scares me. I was actually pretty disappointed with what the Chargers chose to do. I don't know how you feel, but what it brought me back to is I think not only in this draft, but overall in their offseason, I think the Broncos have staked the claim to be the number 2 team in this division.
It's hard to disagree with. If Bo Nix takes a step forward, like he showed that if he takes a step forward from where he was last year, let me put it that way, they're going to be a very hard game, both games. And they're going to be hard in the division for any team that they play. The Chargers, they didn't really they added a running back. Okay, you already have a couple of running backs that you added. You added a couple of wide receivers. Are those guys aren't? I mean, those aren't guys that I'm really going to be scared about in 2025. Could they grow? Maybe, but you're wasting the best years of Justin Herbert right now. And they continue to waste the best years of Justin Herbert. Which, thank you for that. But
yeah, cheers.
Yeah.
I think it's.
And if you go back, real quick. If you go back to talk about the Raiders, they have the 4th best QB in the NFL in the division, right? Is that your opinion?
Yes.
Yeah. He's already behind Bo Nix.
Yeah. Agreed.
That's a problem.
Yeah.
And you take a running back at 6. Sorry, I know we're talking Chargers, but
yeah,
it all plays.
I think overall we'll have to see how these camps go, but I think honestly, I think it's there'll be some talking head that picks the Chargers to win this division again. They already have. I've seen it.
Have you?
Okay.
People. Oh yeah,
because they just can't say no. But I do think the Broncos are likely to finish second. They'll probably be my pick. And if you guys want to see that, we always do the AFC West preview, and I will go tell it flat out to all the other hosts. And usually they don't argue with me because it's like I'm always right. I don't know. Now I sound like what my wife hates. So, hey, it is what it is.
Chiefs have Patrick Mahomes. Hard to argue against.
Yeah, right. What are you going to do? But some teams get hot. Some teams are not. And some players do the same thing. We're going to run those down coming up next. Did you know Fire TV is also an Xbox? Turn any TV into a gaming and entertainment hub with Fire Stick 4K devices. No console required. Just grab your paired controller, subscribe, or sign into Xbox Game Pass Ultimate with EA Play included, and you're ready to go. Dive into hundreds of premium titles, including EA Sports College Football 25 and Call of Duty, as easily as you stream your favorite shows. Call of Duty is one of the ones that I play whenever I get time, especially in the off season. You can jump into it as easily as just turning it on and getting your control. No console. It makes a huge difference. Head to Amazon.com/Fire TV Locked On to get started. Xbox Game Pass Ultimate subscription and compatible controller are required. Available on select devices, including Fire TV Stick 4K, the 2nd gen, Fire TV Stick 4K Max 1st and 2nd gen, and Fire TV Cube 3rd gen. Fire, fire, fire. That's what I'm looking for. That makes heat. And I want to talk about who's hot and who's not, meaning specifically in this version of this game. And welcome to Freaky Friday, folks. We always try to have fun and play a little bit of a game here. We know that you're looking for some entertainment. So who's going to steal playing time? Whether you're talking about a rookie or someone new to the team taking playing time, or a veteran that might be losing time, who stands out to you and who poses that question, hot or not?
Man, that's a great question. To me, when I look at this roster and I look at what they've done, I'm looking at. I'm gonna take an easy one. I'm gonna say Jalen Royals is gonna play, and he's gonna play a decent amount. I'm not gonna say he's gonna start, but I do think he's going to be. Well, he may start early in the season. It really depends. If you count 3 wide receivers, he could be a starter early in the season. But I think he's going to be somebody that's going to steal playing time, and I think he's going to steal playing time from Juju Smith-Schuster. Like I think Juju was expected to be, the veteran that was going to step in and be the guy that was going to step in for Rasheed early on in the season, and then still be somebody that can be there and help late in the season. I don't know that he's going to have that opportunity if all the receivers stay healthy, because I think Jalen Royals is going to step in and he's going to get some decent playing time and he's going to produce.
Yeah, I like that. And we should, before we go any farther, we should really talk about one of the things that you mentioned, because I completely agree with it. And I felt like this for the last, I don't know, 3 seasons maybe. Like, there are so few teams that run 2 wide receivers and stay in base that I think base, when you list your starters, just like a nickel corner is a starter on defense, the slot receiver is a starter on offense. There are 3 starting wide receiver spots on teams in the NFL, and I think that's significant that we need to acknowledge that all the time.
Yeah, and I want to be clear also, I don't think that the Chiefs are going to specifically have a slot wide receiver as a starter, because I don't think that that's something that they look at their wide receivers as. I think that they look at their wide receivers and they try to run them at all 3 positions. So I'm not going to say that, maybe Royals comes in and is primarily slot early in the season, a la Rashee Rice. Maybe that's the case. But I don't think that they're going to look at it from a slot receiver perspective. They want to have all 3 of their guys be able to go out there and run whatever they want them to run from wherever they want on the field. And it may not be the best fit for them, but they're still going to be able to run them out there. So I'm excited about that one.
Yeah, I agree. For me, it's a not. And I felt like this for at least a week, but even since the draft, even more so. And it's who's going to lose out on playing time for me. And it's at the cornerback position. And I think this is a notice for Joshua Williams, who's got a ton of upside. But whatever he's been doing in this offseason, whatever he does for the next 6 weeks, has got to be all out to try to claim his spot, because Christian Fulton is coming for his job. In my opinion, already has it.
Yep.
The draft pick, Noah Williams, is going to get playing time. He is too good with the ball skills in particular to not be on the field. The question's only going to be, is Jalen Watson healthy enough to hold off some of these things? Because I think right now it's Joshua Williams that's on the outside looking in for playing time at cornerback.
No, I think you're 1,000% correct. I think that Joshua Williams is probably going to be okay. I will caveat it with this, and I've said this before. I'll say it again. Unless he's had some huge step forward that we haven't been able to see, and done something to completely change his mental thought process, which is part of what his problem has been, and change his fluidity and his ability to, his football IQ to an extent, he's going to lose his job. I mean, that's the problem. He is going to be beat by players that are better suited for exactly what they want them to do. And I don't think that there's any way that he can win it unless he's done something that he hasn't done the first 3 off seasons that he's been here.
Yeah, I have
first 2 off seasons. Sorry, he's been here.
It's a huge thing, and you're right. Maybe he's got something up his sleeve, but right now, and this just to tie in with this, the guy that I think is probably on the hotter side of this, despite all those guys that I just named, is probably CRW, because he can play teams, and if they only keep 5, who are you going to keep? A guy that can play inside out and play special teams, or a guy that gets flagged every time he's on the field for special teams? That's the way it feels to me.
Yeah, well, and it's tough because you're also in a situation where you have $3.5 million tied up in Najee Johnson, and that's a guaranteed contract. So, it's possible he's not here, and if that happens, it happens. And I want to be clear on that. Like, you make those moves and you sign those players to those types of deals, assuming and putting yourself in a position where you're protected regardless. So I still think it was a good move on their part. It's not always going to work in your favor, and you're going to end up getting players that you didn't expect to get. And I think that's exactly happened with Noah Williams. I don't think Kansas City expected him to be there at that point, and that's why he ended up being the pick.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Anybody else on your radar?
I mean, the obvious one that everybody is going to be questioning is Jalen Moore going to be the starting left tackle, or is it going to be Josh Simmons? And right now, I'm going to say, it's kind of off kilter because both of them are new. But I'm going to say that Jalen Moore is going to be the starter, and I don't think Josh Simmons takes it, at least early in the season. I still think that there's injury concerns, and that's going to be something that the Chiefs aren't going to play around with.
Yeah.
Nor should they.
It could be the future of the position that has had 5 different starters in every championship run they've made.
Yep.
It's crazy. You want consistency and solidifying that one. That's always a challenge. But you have to make your picks and you have to roll with who can get there when. We're going to tell you some of our favorites coming up next. As a small business owner, your work doesn't end when the clock hits 5. Your business is always on your mind, which means it's time to hire. You need a partner that works just as hard as you do. That's where LinkedIn Jobs comes in. When you clock out, LinkedIn clocks in. LinkedIn makes it free and easy to post for free on your profile with your network and get qualified candidates that you're looking for all in one place. So post your job. The new feature can even help you write job descriptions and then quickly get in front of the right people with deep candidate insights. And here's the pro tip. Add the hashtag hiring frame to your profile picture to double your reach to qualified candidates. No wonder 72% of small businesses say LinkedIn helps them find the high quality hires right away. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL to post your job for free. Terms and conditions do apply. Now, we're going to have more for you. Schedule is coming. It's going to be released. We're going to break it all down for you next week. As that comes out, we're going to get ready for your OTAs. And when we see you guys on the field, we'll be able to break that down for you and give you all the information that you need. So do not drag, do not fade away, because we're going to be here for you all the time, all off season, all summer long. Make sure you like and sub if you don't know us already. We're down to our draft picks. And this is just because it's Friday, we're going to have some fun. We're just going to go over our favorites. And you're going to handle Chiefs. I'm going to handle the rest of the NFL, right?
Yep.
Okay.
I'll let you go first.
I will do this. And I'm going to do not just favorites. I'm going to do least favorites as we go through this. So I will start on the positive side. And for an old friend, that's also going to be the theme of this segment for me. Old friend Ryan Poles. I think he was, in my opinion, slow to react, slow to put his touch on everything. Maybe the first draft, maybe a little bit after that. Secures Caleb Williams and didn't give him enough of anything, to tell you the truth. They went out, they had a good offseason. They come to this draft pick. And maybe it's because they had a lot of picks, whatever. But at 10, they went and did, I think, maybe the best thing that they could have done in terms of giving him a weapon that can go anywhere. Colston Loveland is a move tight end that can line up in line, can line up in the slot, can line out wide, just like Travis Kelce. He can do it all. And it gives what I think every rookie quarterback needs, a tall tree, like your main guy, the one thing you can count on in an offense, in a tight end for a young quarterback. This is the key, in my opinion, to having athleticism at the ready to let Caleb Williams be what he is capable of being. And I think maybe it's a year delayed, but I do think the path to stardom and to his ceiling is still there for Caleb Williams. Colston Loveland is going to help him reach it.
Yeah, I think that was an interesting pick. I wasn't surprised that they went tight end. I think it's a good move for Chicago. I think that they need something at that position. And you go back to the Raiders conversation that we had earlier. Obviously, they couldn't have gone Colston Loveland probably, considering they just got Bowers last year. But that's still a position that makes more sense than running back. And you're not in a situation where you're trying to give your quarterback a weapon. Like, I'm sorry, running back doesn't count for me when you're trying to help your offense. Does it? help some? Yes. But you're going to be able to find somebody that can do most of what Ashton Jeanty can do much later in the draft. Is he a special talent? Yes. But, I like the Colston Loveland pick. I think that was a good one for Chicago. I'll be very curious to see if Poles continues to do well. And, bringing Joe Thuney into the offensive line, reshaping their offensive line room this year is a huge key in Chicago.
Yeah, I agree. And that took cojones. You got to have brazen attitude to go do that. So cheers to him. What was your favorite?
Well, and it's funny because the Joe Thuney pick is already gone for Kansas City. So that's already said and done. My favorite pick, and I think I said this after the draft, my favorite pick is still Josh Simmons. You can't go wrong protecting your quarterback. Yep. And if he can play anything like what he played in college, you're set. And that's all you need.
Yep. There's no argument there. And it's an investment, right?
Yep. That's exactly what you need is to invest in your team, invest in protecting your quarterback, make sure that he has everything he needs to be protected. And obviously, if Simmons can work out, the only question that you have left on that offensive line, assuming you get a deal done with Trey Smith, the only question you have left is left guard.
Yeah.
For the next couple of seasons. Like I know people talk about Jawan Taylor not being there, and that's possible, but he could still be in Kansas City in 2026. It's possible. They could be finding somebody else next year as well. I mean, we'll see, but the Simmons picks is so huge because of one thing that you just said a little bit ago, and it is 5 different starters in the Super Bowl. You cannot continue to have that be the case. And I understand some of that's not the Chiefs' fault because injuries happen and it really makes things hard. But, man, that's rough.
Yeah, it is. For the record, I won't go deep into it, but my favorite Chiefs pick is Ashton Jeanty. I had him on the board to the Chiefs as a great fit. You guys heard me go ad nauseum into the mocks about putting him on this roster. I'm super excited that he did. So much so that I never put any arm length issue on my film evaluation. It didn't show up to me. He's good enough with his hands to defeat that. The swipe maneuvers in particular, I think will pay for him. And I think his motor is just incredible. He's going to fit in this defense. It may not look normal, but he will. But I want to go to my least favorite because it's also a family friend here. And I think he'll be able to recover from this. I hope that he will because he deserves to. He's put in a lot of time. And the 2 times that I've ever spoken to him, he's been super, super cool. I just think he got talked into making a mistake. And I think maybe my least favorite pick of the draft happened at number 1 to our friend Mike Borgonzi because he got bullied into taking a quarterback that is mediocre at best instead of taking a guy that could be in either of 2 different directions, an all-pro for you. I think it was a big mistake taking Cam Ward over Travis Hunter, and hopefully he lives to see another day.
It's going to be interesting. That was a huge pick. It's really hard to argue anytime you take a QB number 1 overall because that's the most important position in the NFL. So but I understand where you're coming from. I mean, Cam Ward has questions. There were some people, and I know you didn't, but there were some people that had Shedeur Sanders as a first-round pick. Obviously, he went in the 5th round. There's always going to be disparities in where people think that they should go. I'm not going to say it was a bad pick. I don't know that it was the right pick. Travis Hunter seems like he's a generational type player. And it sounds like that they're going to try to play him on both sides of the ball to some extent. I don't think it's going to be anything like what he's done in college, but that's impressive. And generally speaking, I don't know that I would say he's the best player in the draft, but I think he's probably really close. And when you have the number 1 overall pick, that's probably who you should be taking. I don't think you can say that about Cam Ward. I don't feel like he was the best player in the draft, and I don't think that I don't know that I think that he was really close to being the best play in the draft, but I get it because of the position. Yeah. The one thing I will say, and I'm going to throw this out there because I thought it was kind of interesting. What I loved about the draft, watching it this year, Green Bay, the president comes out and they pick a wide receiver for the first time in 20 years in the first round. Hadn't done that. And then the guy's wearing basically Green Bay colors with his jacket. So that was pretty interesting. But my favorite part of the Green Bay draft was watching, and I don't remember this ever happening. Do you remember anybody waiting into the green room until the third day of the draft?
I do not. And that was surprising to me.
Sorrell waiting till the third day, and then to pick him and for him to get the experience he got, because he was able to go out on stage in Green Bay and then go out into the crowd and do all that other stuff, which he never would have gotten if he was picked by any other team. I get that, but still pretty interesting.
And it's a good point. Maybe he knew it was coming eventually, and maybe he was willing to wait through that. He's a guy that I liked as well. I didn't have him as high as Gelati, but I had him on my board in the 4th round, very close to where he was selected. So I don't think it's a bad pick. Maybe he had an inkling, and he was like, you know what, I'm going to make the most of it. So good for him.
Well, and I'm guessing that after day 2, the Packers said, hey, if you're there when we pick, we're going to take you because
we're going to end your suffering.
Yeah. Because, that would make you want to go back, right? That would make you feel like, and it wasn't ever thought, I don't think I ever saw anybody say that he was a first-round pick. So it wasn't ever a situation where you thought he was going to be gone night 1.
Right.
But you definitely thought he would be gone probably day 2. Maybe not, but I would say that most people probably thought he was going to be a day 2 pick. 2nd and 3rd round.
I'm still scratching my head how he got the invite, because it really should just be the top 32 players. But
well, that's fair. But the NFL always seems to want to have guys that are going to be available, and top 32 players is subjective. All these teams view players differently. You're never going to get. How many? Okay, that's a great question, actually. If you were to take the top 32 players from every single team, how many do you think you would actually have when you combine them all together?
Like 32 in a poll?
Okay. If you said, okay, I want the top 32 players from every single team, you have 32 teams. How many total players would you have? You'd have 32. You'd obviously
so you asked every team for their top 32. How many would you actually have? Yeah. My guess would be 45 to 50.
Yeah. It's my guess.
I think that's a really interesting way to do it. I still have trouble seeing anybody in Terrence Rowe in their top 32. So more power to him.
And I get that.
He's willing to live that life and be on camera that long. So hey,
but think about it this way. It's an experience you'll never get again.
True.
You're getting drafted in the NFL. You get a chance to go walk out on stage, and it doesn't matter if they're cheering or they're booing you. You get a chance to go walk out on stage and be there. I get why you'd accept the experience. I do agree with you. If he was looked at as generally a pick that was probably in the lower, 70s to 100, that's kind of surprising they would invite somebody like that. But it worked out for him. It's a great story and great to see. Watching it live was pretty fun.
Yeah, I agree. But those are the stories that make the thing go round. And we know they're going to DC in a couple of years. There's going to be more stories. So let us know what your favorite moment or your favorite pick was. We'd like to see it in the YouTube comments. We would very much appreciate it. Make sure you like and sub and get with us. Enjoy your weekend. We're going to have some fun on Fridays as we go through the summer, but we're going to have all the content that you need to stay up to date on your Chiefs. Thanks for being with us today, and we'll talk to you next time.